It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, today we're going to jump on the gigantic Sharp interactive board. We're going to go through Sharp's FY23, which ended in March of 2024. Sharp had a big impairment charge. Sharp made a big decision. The big impairment charge and the big decision caused big imaginations. Even the Sharp robots' heads exploding with imagination. Today I want to share some thoughts on the impairment charge. I want to share some thoughts on Sharp in general. And I want to share some cautions and concerns for my friends at Sharp. So without any further ado, let's jump on the board. I'll share what I put together. The first thing I want to talk about is their top line revenue was $14.9 billion. They had an operating profit loss of $130.4 million. Ladies and gentlemen, it's never ever good to have an operating profit loss. If you go back to the FY 2022, Sharp had an operating profit loss that year too. As a percentage of revenue, it was minus 1%. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 years in a row with operating profit loss, Sharp said enough is enough. And Sharp made a decision to kill a sacred cow. I want you all to think about Sharp as a manufacturer. They're a manufacturer. They're a global recognized brand that manufactures things. And they're shutting down a manufacturing facility. That's what you call slaughtering a sacred cow. And over the next few years, our industry's actors are going to slaughter a lot of sacred cows, or they're going to be slaughtered themselves. What our industry thought this industry would be in the year 2024, back in 2018, all those thoughts changed. Caused by all the issues in the world, geopolitics, a global pandemic, so many things going on. And organizations of all sizes, OEMs, little dealers, and big dealers have to reimagine where they're going to be in the year 2027, just a couple of years from now. They have to rethink what's important. They have to look at the end users they service and support and say what's important to those end users and what's changed in our importance to those end users. What's important to those end users and what's changed with our importance to those end users. What are we going to do as an organization to lower our cost to deliver into the marketplace? Think about cost of sales. When I looked at Sharp's cost of sales on that $14.9 billion, it was astonishing, ladies and gentlemen. It was $12.7 billion, 85% of their revenue. Their cost of sales is 85% of their revenue. What does that tell you? What does that tell any logical person? A big chunk of the revenue that Sharp is delivering out into the marketplace, they're delivering it near their cost or below. A big chunk of their revenue that's coming from the marketplace is being delivered at or below their cost. 85% cost of goods is huge. Their selling and administrative expenses are 16.4% of revenue, but their gross profit's only 15%. 2 years of operating profit losses, Sharp makes a big decision. They needed to make the decision. Some of our friends in the industry wait 3-4 years to make decisions. And even though Sharp made the decision, their FY 2024, which ends in March of 2025, is not going to be a blowout year. They're going through a restructure. They're de-emphasizing things that were once important and reimagining a new importance. Ladies and gentlemen, you saw the letter that went out there by the president of Sharp USA. I want to read something that Mike said in that letter. However, this important decision allows us to move forward with a clean slate. This is what excites me the most, that Sharp Corporation has made the decision to focus on our branded businesses, which will be a significant shift to support in achieving our growth goals. So Sharp is a corporation. Let's look at this branded business unit that's always been profitable. Let's figure out how to make it more profitable. Let's figure out how to add to that to deliver better experiences to end users. Let's not care so much about factories and where we make stuff and how we make them. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a smart move. But that move caused a $785.8 million impairment charge. And how Sharp moves forward will be critical. This is why I keep telling all my friends, you better pay attention to your damn operating profit. Because sooner or later, you're going to have a hiccup. Sooner or later, you're going to have to reimagine. Sooner or later, those end users you service and support, are going to tell you, you're not as important to us as you once were. What are you going to do different? And when you set out on a journey to do something different, guess what? It's probably going to cause impairment charges. It's going to cause issues. Those issues aren't just going to be about money. Those issues are going to be about the human capital that works for these organizations. Leaders have to pay more and more attention to the ever-changing world we live in. As manufacturing factories become more robotic, that affects human capital. As AI comes into the marketplace, that will affect human capital. There's so many things that are changing, and those changes are coming rapid. Organizations are going to have to be more nimble. They're going to have to make decisions that are tough. They're going to have to slaughter those sacred cows. Let's look at this device business unit. This is where all the problems are, ladies and gentlemen, for Sharp. And they're making the whole world aware of that, and they're right. This is the problem child for Sharp. Display device, $3.9 billion in top-line revenue with an operating profit loss of $534.5 million. Electronic device, $2.7 billion. They had an operating profit of $86.7 million. The total group together, $6.6 billion with an operating profit loss of $447.8 million, negative 6.8% of the revenue. Ladies and gentlemen, it's this $6.6 billion worth of revenue that's going into the marketplace at or below cost. And that's driving down the operating profit for the whole company. Sharp decides we got to kill a sacred cow. We got to shut down a factory in Sakai. We got to address the glass technologies and how it's manufactured. I want to make it really clear, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't read anywhere in any of this where Sharp's getting out of glass technologies. They're still going to have the interactive technologies. They're still going to have all those products that live inside the Smart Office business group for dealers and direct to go out in the marketplace and sell. Those products will get better. They're just trying to figure out a better way to get those products to the dealers and to get those products to the direct operations. More importantly, they want to bring products to the end users that deliver great experiences. And maybe they don't have to be the sole manufacturer. Maybe they can collaborate on manufacturing. 2 years of operating profit losses caused by a problem child, you got to fix the problem child. Right? You got to have a correction. But I'll tell you this, Sharp. Without accountability at micro level, teams will fall back to comfort. And there's absolutely nothing comfortable. There's nothing comfortable in reestablishing relevance. Nothing comfortable about it at all. Sharp did a great job breaking down the $785.8 million impairment charge. The buckets where all the losses came from. There's also a $75.2 million restructuring expense involved in this. This, ladies and gentlemen, shutting down a factory is a big damn decision. There's no doubt about it. And I think the thing that excites me the most about this, if there can be any damn excitement in an impairment charge of nearly $800 million, is that Sharp made a decision that was a damn tough decision to make. And I'm hoping the industry learns from this. I'm hoping the other OEMs learn from this. The time to kill sacred cows is coming. It came for Sharp, and it's coming for you next. It's coming to the dealerships next. Big, small, or medium. You're going to have to rethink all the things you thought back in 2018 were going to live and thrive in the year 2024. Come on, folks. None of that's real. You have to readjust. You have to reimagine. I'm not going to get into all this, but I want to make it clear that Sharp is not getting out of the glass technology business. They're just reimagining how they're going to get it to the marketplace. But they're still going to bring it to the marketplace. And collaboration around manufacturing is happening in every single industry. Look at the print industry. Ricoh, Toshiba Tech, a joint venture called Etra, starts July 1. Fujifilm and Konica Minolta exploring the possibility of a joint venture around manufacturing. Sharp decided to bring their production print equipment from Fuji. I'm not a big fan of Sharp getting into the high-end production. I made that really clear when they did it. But the one thing that I am happy about in that decision is that they're not manufacturing it themselves. Because had they done that, I would have really questioned, really would have questioned what they were thinking. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, Sharp's going through a structural reorganization. Sharp's going through a re-emphasis of some things and a de-emphasis of other things. Sharp's going through a process of slaughtering some sacred cows for the benefit of the corporation, and more importantly, I hope they believe, for the benefit of the end users they service and support. Let's talk about the brand business. You know, we have the problem child, okay, in the device business unit. This is the prodigy child. Holy smokes, the branded businesses. The branded businesses always do well. They have a discipline to profitability. And at the end of the day, they helped Sharp from having a huge operating profit loss because they came together as a business and figured out how they could go into the marketplace, increase profitability, at the same time increasing some sales. And even though some of these sales in these business units declined, they maintaining some profitability. Smart Life Energy, that's the appliance business. $2.8 billion in top line revenue, $175.4 million operating profit, 6.2%. Smart Office, that's where all my friends live, right? The MFPs, the boards, the Snap software, the Dynabook, all kinds of stuff in that group, right? $3.7 billion in top line revenue and operating profit of $190.2 million, 5.1%. They had an operating profit growth. They doubled the operating profit percentage of revenue from the year 2023, or FY 2022. But ladies and gentlemen, that year it was only 2.6%. So it's great that they doubled it. It's like 5.1%. But folks, they need to get up to 8 or 9% in that group. They've got peers in that group that are hitting that 8 and 9, 10%. And Sharp has to figure out, how do we bring stuff into the marketplace where we can increase our profitability? We've got to increase our profitability. Universal Network, $2 billion. Top line revenue with an operating profit of $56.6 million, 2.8%. The total branded business unit together for FY 2023 was $8.6 billion with an operating profit of $423.4 million, or 4.9%. So ladies and gentlemen, they're doing some things right. And what they are doing right, they have to do better. They have to focus. Sharp Corporation, their headquarters, putting more emphasis on branded businesses. How will that more emphasis help them increase profitability, help them deliver into the marketplace products that can give end users they service and support better experiences, whether those are appliances or whether those are MFPs or whether those are just services? Lots going on. If you look at the Smart Life Energy, ladies and gentlemen, you know, at the end of the day, they're having some demand problems for their products. They have to increase the demand, you know, and they can't increase the demand. The demand comes from the end users. But we're having some problems economically all over the world. And all manufacturers have to address this. They have to make sure they don't produce more than they can sell. They got to control their inventories. There's so many things at play. But the Smart Life and Energy business unit has done well for Sharp. If you look at their operating profit, in FY 2022, first half it was 6.9%, second half it was 5.3%, end of the year of last year it was 6.2%, this year it ended at 6.2%. They're consistent. They're consistent. But as they go through the struggles of the global economy, as they control their inventories, things are going to have to change. Prices will have to raise. They'll have to figure out better experiences these products can give end users so they can raise those prices. A lot of things that manufacturers make quickly can become commodities. And it's that value add. It's that value add the end users receive from these products that allows you to control the pricing. Let's look at the Universal Network, $2 billion, $56.6 million operating profit. This is the lowest operating profit percentage of revenue in the brand business. You know, they had in FY 2022, it was a tough year for this unit. Negative 2.6%, negative 2.1% the second half. For the year, it ended up negative 2.3%. But things are turning around. It ended the year at FY 2023 a positive 2.8%. And in the second half, it was 3.5%. It was 2.1% the first half. So we got out of the negative mess it was in 2022, turning things around. But again, Sharp, like all the industry's actors, have to figure out how to become more profitable. Now that place that we all call home, Smart Office, $3.7 billion, $190.2 million in operating profit, 5.1%. They say some things in here, and I have some cautions I want to share. I can't read all of this, but I hope you all go to these OEM's websites and look at their investor relations tab and pull these presentations down and go through these. If more and more people in our industry went through these, when you saw the leaders of these organizations in meetings, instead of just talking about absolutely nothing or standing next to them and taking a picture saying, I was here with this guy, you'd be able to ask him questions or her questions. Some of those questions might be painful for them. But the more they get asked those questions, the better prepared they're going to be to answer them. Our industry needs to have more accountability at all levels. But major initiatives in FY 2024, I want to read some. Maintain and expand customer base by strengthening solutions, service lineup capabilities. Explore new service areas through IT service dealers. This is exciting. Explore new. They want to sell some of their products from the Smart Office through the IT services channel. I will caution you here, right now. Don't go to that IT services community and start talking about managed print services to them. If you do, you're going to not get their attention. Talk to them about your glass technologies. Talk to them about some of your softwares you have. But folks at Sharp, the thing you got that IT service providers want, they could sell millions and millions of, is that Dynabook. Please don't go in there and start talking about managed print services. IT service community does not want to sell managed print services, okay? Let's just put that to bed. The PC, expand sales of premium mobile models for B2B, expand lifecycle management services to PC customers. You got some ambitions in the Smart Office. You're doing some things around IT security, and let's talk about some of those things. Before I get into that, I want to talk about the forecast. So the forecast for FY 2024, Sharp wants to have $13.5 billion in top line revenue with a $64.2 million operating profit. And that would be a low operating profit, 0.5%, but it would be a cost of fixing what they need to fix. But what I find interesting is that they dropped their revenue by 9.6%. If you look at the display device business unit, and that's the problem child, that's around the factory that's closing, that represented $3.9 billion top line revenue, which is 25% of the FY 2023's number. So it's going to be interesting. That plant's closing sometime in September to see what kind of revenue we come in 2024 in that group with, and then how that revenue is going to change. But at the end of the day, you can see that Sharp's projecting, hey, we got a mess to clean up. We're going to stay above the line at 0.5%. Let's hope they can accomplish that, because you know, look where they were in 2021. They were making profit quarter after quarter. It was 2022 and 2023 that gave them the hell. But at least they said enough is enough. Let's talk about these products real quick in the smart home office. Sharp, you're so competent up here. You got all this stuff you can do. And I said this before. The MFPs, the Snap apps, the collaboration displays, the laptops, the displays and projectors. You got all that stuff in your portfolio. You're good at that stuff. That's the kind of stuff some IT service providers would really like to sell, other than the MFPs. And then you got these solution services. This is my caution. When I read about IT and IT security, Sharp, that's a lot you're going to have to do to perfect that. A lot you're going to have to do to perfect that. A lot of cost you're going to incur to perfect that. And I really think right now, especially through 2024 and 2025, you got to focus on what you can do best and what you can do profitably. And pay attention to what you want to do. That you don't put so much emphasis on something you want to do without truly understanding why you want to do it. And that's for all of my friends in this industry. When I think about this partnership with Fuji, I have some cautions on that, and I've shared them many times. That's going to be a big investment. That's going to distract. Anything that's new is a distraction from the core. You have to figure out a way to bring in additional revenues. I get it. But I got to tell you something. I'm concerned about Sharp being in that high-end production. And I'm also questioning Fuji and Fuji's aspirations, especially here in Americas. Later in the week, I'll discuss Fuji's financials and I'll share more on that. But here's what I'll tell you, Sharp, and I believe this with all my heart. Only pandering fools will participate in rewarding success without the ability to understand the details and accountability. I've been sharing my anger at Konica Minolta that they won't share all the realities around all these things they do outside of print. I've been yelling at my friends at Xerox, you got to have more details when you're going out in the marketplace and you're talking about doing all these other things besides print. I will tell my friends at Sharp the same things. We got to have more accountability to the details so we know if these things are actually working or not. And maybe you're looking at that internally, but there's nothing like publicly sharing it. It would be nice if the whole world knew what the revenue from your display and projectors and collaboration display was. What's the revenue in that business unit? How are the dealers doing in that? We love to brag about the MFP business. We love to brag about winning all these big contracts. But we don't really brag about what we do with Dynabook. We don't really brag in our financials about the revenue that we're bringing in from Dynabook and watching the growth of Dynabook. And here's the profitability of Dynabook. Folks, my cautions. And we're going to end it with this. And you can see that Sharp Robot's got that sign up. High-end production print, OEMs, collaborations can be opportunities and threats. Proceed with caution. Non-hardware services, IT related. Proceed with caution. Sharp, your dealers and your direct operations can sell through you subscriptions to cloud services and software products. They're going to be low margin. Revenues are going to grow. But at the end of the day, that's a vulnerable business to other actors. Actors all around our industry that are going to be much better at it than our industry is. And we need to pay attention. We cannot set up IT services platforms based on the thought processes of just a few short years ago because things are changing rapidly. Caution. Without accountability at micro level, teams will fall back to comfort, and there's nothing comfortable about reestablishing relevance. Sharp, when you think about your smart office and you think about taking all these different products out into the marketplace without micro accountability, those leaders that you want to head up something outside of their comfort zone, but you allow them to participate in their comfort zone at the same time, you know what's going to happen as soon as they run into an objection or a problem with what they're trying to deliver new, they're going to run back to their comfort zone. See it all the time. A lot of challenges in front of Sharp, a lot of challenges in front of our industry. But everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck at status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.